Moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, we now come to one of the most anticipated segment of the evening, our fireside chat on compounding wealth, compounding wisdom. This conversation brings together two exceptional thought leaders whose perspective have shaped the way countless individuals understand finance, growth, and long-term value. Please join me in welcoming the host, Mr. Sanjay Saraf. Once again, just want to mention, ladies and gentlemen, the surprise is coming your way. A few more minutes. It's what we are going to reveal tonight. So please stay with us. Thank you, and please enjoy this amazing. I'm taking the notes backstage. I'm sure you are going to have a great time as well. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, all of you, once again. So, when I was entering the world of finance, that time Doordarshan was the main, the channel, the TV which we used to watch. And that time I had listened to Ramesh ji, and the one whom I could connect with in terms of what he said. I can't remember exactly, but so I have a distant attachment to him in my evolutionary journey in finance as a student, and I am so privileged that I am able to sit with him and discuss about markets, economy, compounding wealth, compounding wisdom. He is India's most revered legendary investor. He comes from an engineering and technology background from US, and he started his journey at a time when Sensex was 500 points. Can you just imagine Sensex being at 500 points way back in 1985? So 4 decades of experience. He has exemplified Warren Buffett's value investing style in India. When youngsters talk about multi-baggers, I think the one name that resonates in India is Mr. Ramesh Damani. His ability of identifying some of the multi-baggers like Infosys at the very early stage, United Spirits, when the liquor industry was totally out of favor and disdained in India, and then recently catching up with the PSU theme when it was most hated, is something that we can have great lessons to learn from. It is my honor, and I feel that you will greatly learn on a face-to-face gathering from him, although in today's environment, there's so much of stuff which is also available on social media, but there's a different sense which happens when we are actually sitting in the hall and living that experience. So, I request all to welcome Mr. Ramesh Damani.
Thank you so much. Before I let him speak, I'll say something. They say a great teacher influences eternity because you never know where his influence stops. I think just looking at alumni that is gathered here and the stories I've heard from Sumangal about how many people he's taught, you're going to find eternity, sir. Congratulations on a great job. Congratulations on your anniversary and best wishes for the future.
Thank you, sir. I was just telling him that see, this is the first time that I am taking somebody's interview. Okay? So, nobody should judge me that much. And number two, I don't know whether it is with some of you on the other side, but I have become very emotional out of the initial 10 minutes that I spoke. And my rational side, the brain and the heart, the brain part is, I think, not at its optimum. So please, excuse me for not being super perfect.
great, and I'm actually amazed at the level of influence you've had in this. You know, one of my heroes in life is Charlie Munger, and he said that the biggest foundational advances in civilization happened when the Venice merchants discovered double entry bookkeeping. So I'm well aware in a crowd full of CAs and CPAs how much they've done to advance the cause of good civilization. And you've been a very instrumental part of that in India. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. So let's start spreading your word of wisdom and knowledge over here. I'll do my best to get the best out of you. Thank you.
Sure.
So, sir, would like to start right from the beginning. Like, you are coming from an engineering and technology background. And obviously, as a teacher, I have seen many of my students who do come from that background, but they have inhibitions as to in what manner would they take up this finance industry. So when you recollect your past days, when you were entering into this field of capital markets from an engineering background, how did you approach the field? What are the pluses or minuses, that you seem to have faced when you entered this industry as compared to a normal commerce guy? Because you might be having some of your friends who were purely from a commerce discipline. So how do you differentiate the two?
Yeah, it's a good question as to how I got into the stock market, to abbreviate your question. I was the only son. I was studying abroad, and I had to come home because the parents kind of pull you back at that time. So I was one of the few guys who actually made the reverse journey. Most people went from India to America. I came back from America to India. But in 88, 89, when I first came to India, after studying abroad, the market was still like in the backwaters. The people who made money there were the jobbers, the speculators, the insider traders, they all kind of made money. There were very few people who believed in actual value investing or believed in good stocks to buy. But as they say, friends of a feather flock together. The kind of people that I happened to meet were today they're of course worldwide legends, but at that time they were very good value investors. So I made friends with people like Chandrakant Sampath, who's no longer there, he's passed away, who taught me so much, R.K. Damani, Ramesh Damani, so many of these people who are actually truly, when the history of the last is written, they will be written, whole chapters will be devoted to them. So luckily I stood on the shoulders of giants and I learned the business. Because my background in America taught me one thing, that a great business can grow at 15-20%. So all these people will come and tell me, ये tip मिला है boss, double हो जाएगा share, ये ले लो, इसमें कवाड़ा कर लेंगे, ये इसको संस्था को दिला देंगे. I never believed that stuff. I believed that a good business can grow at 18, 20, 25%, and you want to search for those kind of businesses. And all the friends I made also believed in that. If you go back and study the history of the last street over the last 30, 40 years, all those people who thought they were supreme in the market, they all had adventures in Arthur Road jail, So the people who actually understood value investing, didn't work jobbers, were trying to make an honest living, has survived and prospered in how over the last 30 years or so. So to give you, I think what helped me was that I had the right set of friends in Mumbai when I came back. And because of my experience, to give you another example, in 89, there was a big cement boom going on in this country. And the trouble was that even my jobber in my office, lowly job made a few thousand rupees, would know the price of cement in, say, Bhopal or cement price in Coimbatore. And I was an MBA from America and I had no idea what the cement prices were. I had no idea the cement industry as such. I couldn't name a cement company. That's because cement is globally an important business. It is a cyclical business which is getting a boost in India. But luckily, as Sanjay would attest, I was a techie, and then when I came back, Infosys went public in '93. So I was one of the few people in the last year who understood the value of that business. It didn't have plant, it didn't have assets, but it had intellectual property. And I realized the value arbitrage between India and America in terms of software. So I was one of the first few people to understand the software business, and that, if you might add, is my lucky breakthrough.
So somebody told me, I'll just complete your answer in the sense that the knowledge that we take in understanding a business has nothing to do with our background, whether we come from commerce or from science. And business is more of common sense. If you dig deep, you can really unearth about business. Okay, so the fact that I have been teaching and I've seen that people identify finance with just accountancy, I think that is too backward looking. In the sense that accountancy is not the main stuff which is required for the purpose of identifying great business. Do you agree, sir?
I mean, it's important. I mean, I won't say it's not important. I think some things are very important. But I think how do you capture the character of your entrepreneur? Well, you can't do that. That you can only judge when you go and see him person to person or by his track record over so many years. So, while it's important to understand the numbers, it's clearly not the most important thing.
Okay. The second question, sir, is that I have always heard that you are a great reader. Okay, there are some talks about the fact that way back then you were the only person, apart from SBI chairman, who had a copy of the Wall Street Journal in Mumbai. So, how is it that reading so much and keeping on learning has helped you in markets and has always made you a little bit more competitive as compared to others?
Yeah, great question, thanks. First, let me share a story with you because it's very close to my heart. I have two grandchildren, they're 8 and 6, and when my grandson was 6 years old, he was overseas and he's missing his dadu. So he told his dad to put me on Facebook to talk to him. So when I talked to him, he said, "Where are you, dadu?" I said, "Son, I'm in the office, it's 4 o'clock. Where else would I be?" He says, "You never work in the office." I said, "Who works you think in the office?" He says, "Whenever I come to the office, you're always sitting on a sofa reading a newspaper." I said, "Who works there?" He said, "My papa, he's always on the computer." So that shows you my extent to which my family thinks. My wife always tells me that I'm a book with 2 legs. I really enjoy reading. But let me explain to you how reading helps. You're young in your careers, you're all looking ahead in the next 20, 30 years. And one of the stocks I bought early in my career was the liquor companies in India. So they were available, 200 crores each, United Spirits and UBP 200 crores each. So to give you perspective first, that you could buy 10% of the company for 20 crores. This is as late as 2004, 20 years ago. 2004, you could buy 10% of the company for 20 crores. Let me put it another way to you. For 20 crores, you could barely buy a flat in South Bombay even at that time. But here you could buy 10% of these liquor companies. What does that mean? It means that out of every 10 bottles that people drink in a party, one was mine. If I own 10% of the company out there. Now, how did I get this flash of brilliance to say invest in these companies? I think it was reading, Sanjay, because I used to read extensively, so I read what Harbin beer in China was trading at. There's a city in North China called Harbin. They had a brand called Harbin beer that was sold for $1 billion. San Miguel in the Philippines, Singa in Thailand, Anheuser-Busch in America. I knew what the values of beer were, and I couldn't understand why these companies were being traded so cheaply in India. Then, when I asked fellow analysts, they always told me, "Oh, but it's run by Malia. It's like, he's never going to. He loves to party. He loves to be the biggest yacht owner in town. He's not going to make you money out there." But there's one dictum in the markets that you should always remember: that price discounts everything. At 200 crores, I could go down to 180 crores. I couldn't go much further. At the end of the day, a fabulous business that was in there with drinking habits, young population, demographics in your favor. But I had one insight thanks to my reading. Every time I would see a Bombay Times, there'd be a photo of Malia prancing with some Bollywood heroine or throwing a party or doing something. And I knew that Bangalore at that time became a global size city. That if you remained market cap at 200 crores, you would not be the biggest wheel in Bangalore. You wouldn't get the biggest parties, host the best people. You would become irrelevant almost. And that's something that Malia's ego would not allow. That helped me because I read. So I read about global values of liquor. I read about the personality and the psychology of Malia. And that said, okay, maybe there's a trigger coming in the next few years for McDowell's. As that could have happened, happened. But the question that Munger and Buffett always tell us is that you read just to become a little bit more intelligent. You don't read to find a particular stock idea. So my suggestion to all of you, if you ask me, is just read. Read a lot. I mean, it just helps. You know, biographies, politics, philosophy, current events. Just read. It just helps overall to be a better stock picker.
Nowadays, students, in terms of reading, they are using a lot of GPT stuff to summarize the reading. You know, 500 pages summarized into 10 pages and bullets. I do not know how much in depth they would be able to do, but they are doing good. So maybe times are changing, and time alone will say what type of.
I think it would be dangerous. I mean, my sense is you should just read for the love of reading, and you try to summarize everything. You're going to summarize your results too. So my sense is long form reading has some value here.
Yes, that is the differentiator. Coming to the India story part, which all of us are now witness to, I'm sure even at that time, if you recall 85, and you would have imagined how this country will shape up in the next 40 years, of course, along with the global economy, nobody could figure out as to where we are standing now. So the journey from a state of affairs we had about this country way back in 1985 and today. Number one, you feel proud of it as to what we have done, what we have achieved, and how do you see this? And just to combine that into one particular question, how do you see it going forward? Where are we evolving? Will you see the youngsters? Because this is one of the most representative crowd, you know, of the people who are really going to do great in the financial space. So how, and plus you yourself are seeing so many youngsters when you mentor them. So this entire journey of India, kahan tak apne aaye hain and where are we moving towards? What's your perspective?
I think I'll take the first part that's more interesting. Kahan tak aaye hain? I find that truly astonishing. I'm probably one of the oldest guys in the room. I'm, almost I think closer to 70 than, my IQ. Age has dropped, my IQ is not
the average age in the room, we have collected the data, is 28.
Yeah, 28. So, you guys are born after I came back to India to start my career, but leave that aside. My generation, we call midnight children, we were born a few years after independence, 45, 55, somewhere around there we were born in that time. Sanjay, there's a saying in the English language that you understand your life backwards, but you live it forwards. Okay? So now when I look back at my life, I realize that my generation of people, we were the blessed generation in India, we were the gifted generation in India. We came of age when? In 85, 89, as you mentioned to you. What happened in 89? The Berlin Wall fell. The world changed. What did the Berlin Wall fall represent? I didn't understand at that time, but what did it represent? It represented a triumph of capitalism, of free markets. The stock market is the symbol of free markets. Alright? 89, the Berlin Wall fell. 91, what happened? India had to liberalize because we had no choice. After the Berlin Wall fell, these countries are India liberalized. What happened by 2000? India became a tech superpower. Look at the enormous tailwinds my generation had going forward. So I think for us, those who believed in value investing and those who believed in buying good businesses, I don't know if you remember 93, does anyone remember what the market cap of IPO at IPO time of Infosys was? Anyone has an idea? Not you, Sumanga, you probably heard it from me. So anyway, IPO, the biggest Indian wealth creator in its generation, IPO had a market cap of 40 crores. It was like a 4 crore equity with a 100 rupee price. At 40 crores, today it's closer to 6 lakh crore, 8 lakh crores, something in that neighborhood. Okay. So, Reliance market cap was I think $300 million in 91, 92. ITs were $200 million, if that, at that point. So it was almost like shooting fish in a barrel. If you are bullish in India and you remain invested in great businesses, as ITC or Reliance, Infosys were, you couldn't help but make money. So anyone who tells you that, oh, in fact, what I say to people that what I find the saddest when people come on television or people come and tell me, oh, that I've had a good day, I made 20 points on a stock today. But the opportunity sometimes is to make 20x your money, not 20 points in a stock. If you remain invested and believe in the business, which at that time, 89 is a relatively small cohort of people who believe in a great business can compound over long periods of time. It has changed now. Today there's a much wider circle of good value investors in India. But my suggestion to all of you, particularly because you're in the CA and the CFA business, you get a lot of information from people, your batchmates, your colleagues, your office will have a lot of information. But don't look at it as a way to make a quick 10 bucks or 20 bucks. Sometimes it may be fun to do that. But the true wealth is created by making bets on great long-term businesses, which have good cash flows, good return on equities, and can be held for long periods of time. And astonishing wealth creation has been taken. Now, just to cut forward to the next question you asked, what do I think about the future? And the answer, Sanjay, that I've had the privilege of meeting some of the best investors out of India, like I told you, Chandrakant Sampath, Ramesh Damani, Nimesh Bhai, Yogesh Bhai, so many of the great value investors who, when the chapter of the last year, believe me, they'll have individual chapters. I won't, but they will definitely have it. And I mean that in all sincerity. And I often ask them the same question. I said, so which has been the best decade to invest in India? Was it the 90s when Manmohan Singh liberalized the Indian economy? Was it 2000 when India became a tech superpower? Was it 2017 when Narendra Modi became the Prime Minister? Which has been the best decade to invest in India according to you? And almost uniformly, they tell me the best decade to invest in India will be the next decade. Right? So the opportunities ahead for you 10 years are far greater than the opportunities, despite you come to 18,000 on the index. Despite that, the opportunities are far greater the next 10, next 20 years than they were the last 10, 20 years. The one paradigm that I found, one proverb that everyone has always told me whenever I met them, privately, publicly, and the ones who got it right were said that we're always bullish on India. They realized that the confluence of factors in India, that demographics, digitization, all were helping India. And because they remained bullish in India through, when we came, for example, the income tax rates were 90%, wealth tax was there, regulation was there. They realized that everything is going to be dismantled over a period of time. And if you look back through the prism of history, everything has been dismantled. Today, I think in many ways we are more free market than, say, even America. Our settlement systems are much better. Our banking system is not being pressurized by the Prime Minister. So I think we're in a good spot, sir. So to answer your question, yeah, we've come a long way, but can we go still a long way in the next 10, 20 years? I believe we can.
Yes, sir, that's true. And that is the optimism sitting in front of us. I had read the phrase, nurse the baby, protect the child, and free the adult. So, somewhere India represents these stages that you were perhaps nursing at the time when you were there. And then throughout your period, you found that the baby became a child, and perhaps now it's an adult. And this adult is roaring like anything. We go abroad and we feel so proud in speaking about the fact that we are Indian. And it's a great future that we have. And it's all thanks to everybody who has participated, especially in the capital markets and people like you who have had confidence in businesses.
This is the tech people, my friend. It's basically the technology guys that gave us this kind of bad luck. I mean, this was Infosys came in the market of 40 crores. I think we had maybe $200 million of the sales. Today it's a $200 billion industry. So, I think we owe a huge round of applause for our tech people because they've actually put us on the map.
Correct, sir. So over these last 4 decades, you have experienced so many cycles where markets have really, like 2000, post-2001, they really shot up like anything. And then so many collapses that you have seen. During these market cycles, it is always said that youngsters can only read about those cycles as to what happened, but you lived the cycles. And you must have, at various occasions, had very nasty lessons from the cycles, and you thought that I will in the next cycle capitalize or prevent myself from being hurt from the same. Can you elaborate on the same as to what lessons these cycles taught you and how in the next cycle you were better prepared that way?
Of course, thanks Sanjay. My story's been told, so if I'm repeating it, please excuse me. My father was interested in the stock market. I was in America. And so he made a bet with me. He says, I'll give you $10,000, you invest it in stocks in America. You double your money, it's yours to keep. You lose the money, you don't owe me any money. So that seems like a fair bet to me. So as luck would have had it, lost the entire money that he sent to me in a few years' time, which of course led to a lot of introspection on my part. That how could I lose money? Because there's a bull market going on in America. And I realized the first fundamental mistake to make in the market is when you're driving, you should look at the front view mirror, not the rear view mirror. What do I mean by that? Sanjay, 1970s was the years of commodity inflation. So gold, silver, oil, all the stocks are going up. And by 1981, 82, the stocks have fallen 70% or so. So in my naivety, I assumed that stocks are down 70% of the highs. There must be some value there. Why couldn't it there? Why reinvent the wheel? Little realizing the stocks will fall another 70-80% from the prices with which I bought them. Okay? So I learned first that each bull market has new leadership. So you can't go back to the last bull market leadership to do that. So that was one of the first lessons I learned, and I never forgot that lesson. That each bull market will have a new leadership. So for example, when I came back in 1990 in India, cement was leading bull. Everyone was talking about cement. But very few people understood that technology is about to overtake a lot of industries in India. But because of my not understanding cement, I looked at technology. And because of my background, that helped me out there. So after that, I've always tried to look at the next emerging theme of bull market. One thing to remember bull markets is that all bull markets end. There's nothing in the permanent bull market. Even this current bull market, as great as it is in India, it will end. No doubt. By its own volition, it will end at some time. It will be followed by a bear market, the prices will fall down. And then a new bull market will fall. That is the nature of the business. Just like after every monsoon, we give way to next year to summer and again to monsoon, the same thing will happen in stock market. So if you go back and study the various bull markets in India, say the 92 bull market, 2000 bull market, 2004 bull market, or the current bull market, the leadership is always like giving a lot of money, like 30, 40, 50x on that stock if you happen to get into that stock at the correct time. So I've spent an inordinate amount of time, Sanjay, looking at is the bull market starting and what will be the leadership in the market when that bull market starts. So I think that has helped. Again, there's a big difference between me and other fund managers in that sense that they run public money, so they are answerable to the public. So, if they underperform, they're asked a lot of questions, they face a lot of answers. Whereas I run proprietary capital, my own money, so I'm not answerable to anybody. I can pretty much bet as I choose out there. So that gives me a lot more freedom to do that. So in my head, even if the stock doesn't perform 2-3 years, I am still okay holding it. Because I think it will eventually perform, because I think my thesis is right. So I think the first thing I realized is that you need to find the leadership in the bull market. And the second thing I realized very early on that the big money is made in the big swing. You'll be very happy one day. My son had this aha moment when we talked about these liquor shares, for example. I told him to invest in appreciating assets and not depreciating assets. You would all understand that, right? So when he was going to the college student in America, I told him that he could buy him a smartphone which was costing 50,000-60,000 rupees at that time, or he could buy shares of GIs which was like $40 at that time. And of course he chose the phone. If only youth knew, he chose the phone. But then when he came back for a summer to the office, that one particular day, I think the stock of McDowell's was up 20% from a base of 300. So it gone up like $60. For a stock that was at $40, it's gone up $60. So that was the aha moment for him, as he mentioned to me. So it's very important when you're young to invest in appreciating assets, not depreciating assets, and think long term. If you can think The Indian economy is per capita, democracy, demographics, all are going to increase in our favor. We are still very underpopulated in terms of per capita in so many things. So I think these businesses will tend to do very well over a period of time. So I think the one thing that I'm very clear about is that every bull market should make you richer, prosperous, stronger. Bull markets change the course. I mean, you don't understand when a bull market starts, where the country is, where the company is, and by the time the bull market ends, I mean, when the bull markets of technology started, where was India's technology power? When India became a household name in technology. And that's true of every bull market in every corner of the world. So I think the other thing that, just to add some more fuel to your thought, I think over the last 20, 30 years, only 2 or 3 markets have shown positive correlation year on year. I think America is one, India is the other one, among the last major markets. So as I said, we are a blessed generation. Good place, good time, and I think that good times will continue to roll.
In your answer, you in fact answered even the coming questions. Because if I would have asked you about when you identify multi-baggers or you identify a correct phase where you feel that yes, the bull markets are now going to start, and when that does not happen, okay, and you hold on to it, so the conviction every day the screen shows that something opposite is happening to what you are believing. We were just watching the interview of Stanley Miller. Okay, I and Suman were sitting together only, and he was speaking about the fact that he entered the phase of the dot-com bubble quite early, where he understood that there's a problem, and he went short, obviously, as a hedge fund, and he could find that even though he went short, the range continued, and ultimately he had to square up position and went long. And when he went long, and he went terribly long, the crash came, and he was out of the market. So you answered it that it depends upon whose money are you managing, whether it's prop money or it's other people's money, and also the patience, obviously, that's there.
I'll tell you another story about this because I think your audience might enjoy it. Being early is the same as being wrong in the stock market, particularly if you use leverage. So there's a fund manager called Bill Ackman. In April 2022, he turned very bullish on Netflix. So he bought $1 billion position in Netflix, 3 million shares at $13 a share or something, put $1 billion in Netflix. The next 6 months, the stock collapsed 30-40%. 30-40%. So he had to liquidate the position. He was running public money, he had to liquidate the position. But even when he sold it, he made a public statement that I'm selling it because I've been wrong on the stock. But I think the long-term fundamentals are very positive for the stock, and you should remain invested in this if you're a retail investor. He said that. And he got out of this, took on a $1 billion investment, he took a $400 million hit. So he lost 40% of his capital almost to the stock. Yesterday, Netflix was news because of some merger acquisition they're doing. But if he had held on that $700 million position, mark to market $7 million, today we will be worth about $3.5 billion. There's a 5x move in 3 years in dollar terms, which he gave up a bit too early. So that's the risk of running public money, that's the risk of... I tell you the other thing that helps prop investors is you do your homework, okay? For example, sometimes you can hold a stock 50x or 100x, right? For example, McDowell's has been that kind of stock, Bharat Electronics has been that kind of stock. So the question I'm asked is, how come I didn't sell it? So let's say I bought McDowell's at 200 crores market cap, and the stock doubled, it went to 400 crores. The stock doubled, went to 800 crores. But I'd done the homework, I knew the value of the brand, I knew the value of the Indian market. I mean, how could you sell this? This is worth 800 crores. You in your head, you think it's worth 10,000 crores or 20,000 crores or some amount like that. So then you wait for that terminal value to start coming into a business. So if you do your homework, and that's something that is within your wheelhouse, all of you. You're all CAs, you can run Excel spreadsheet without a problem. You can do your homework, you can figure out, okay, this is the value of the business, I think. Why should I sell it because it's doubled or tripled or even quadrupled? That's how it allows you to remain into your stocks for longer periods of time.
Correct. That is the most quality which is lacking in many of the youngsters, okay, to think so much of long term, because many times conflicting wisdom come into their mind, like many of them tell me that you remember that proverb, market can remain irrational for a longer time than you will remain solvent. So it works.
That's why don't leverage. That's simple answer to that.
Don't leverage.
Use your own money. I mean, when you manage public money, you can't do it. I appreciate it. But when you manage your own money, you can take those calls.
Correct.
I've seen so many people do it successfully. And don't leverage. That's really most important.
Okay, sir. The next thing that comes into my mind is that I'll just frame the question with an example. Okay, because I being a teacher, okay, I'm feeling so many times when you are giving the answer that I start explaining to them in a different manner, but I'm preventing myself. So this particular question comes with a particular context. There was this company which made a lot of news around 3-4 months, I think 6 months back, Siam Agro. I think that was the name. Yeah. Siam Agro. Was it the name? In which Nitin Gadkari's son had a stake, and this company really went 10 times or 20 times revenue and 20 times share price in no time at all, you know. And when it spread among the masses, it was the talk of the town. You know, we can have conspiracy theory or whatever. But what happened is that I was taking a class, and as a part of the class, when we were talking about fraud detection and all that, I was telling them as a mental framework, why don't you do something? You pick up any particular platform, say GPT or whatever, and you ask it to generate the names of all the ministries that we have in India, okay, and the related persons. And then you map it to the entire listed space, the ministries and the entire listed space. And maybe you will be able to get a universe of the stocks which are politically sensitive, okay, and stuff like that. To my surprise, there was a female CFA level 1, and she brought the same list out, okay, as in the chat, on ChatGPT next week, saying that, sir, I have done the same. I brought out all the ministries, the people related, the public listed space, okay, and how are they related. So what I'm trying to come to the question is that artificial intelligence, which is the talk of the town, the entire US market seems to be just a bet on artificial intelligence. In our area, these people who are there in regulatory compliance field, who are there in investment analysis field, who are there in fund management, who are there in both public fund management as well as even private equity and private credit. Now these people are not able to be clear about the fact that how much of AI would replace these particular professions, and the way in which we used to find out companies, okay, the best of multi-baggers and all that, that process is obviously reshaping. So the human skills which you have spoken about in your entire discussion about going deep and judging companies, human intelligence, human judgment, how much of it will be replaced by AI, or how do you think this entire field evolving? So the short question is, what is your view about AI versus HI?
The most difficult question. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the AI is about my pay scale, so I'll start off with saying that I'm not an expert in AI, so I don't know how to define. I understand, from what I understand, that AI will replace medical professionals, doctors, because they will do better surgery. They replace legal people. They represent, so many professions will now be replaced by AI. I believe that. Will they be able to replace a mother's touch? Will they be able to replace the investment side? I don't think so. I mean, in effect, if someone can tell you what stocks to buy tomorrow, and that result would happen, then the market will be over. I mean, there's no such thing as stock market. If someone can predict the price tomorrow with certainty, then everyone will buy the stock. So then all other stocks will work out. So I don't think that is going to happen in the near future. I don't think any AI will be able to predict mass psychology. The key, as Warren Buffett explained once, was that the key to buying stocks and getting rich in the stock market is when others are fearful to be bored and when others are greedy to be out of stocks. So I think that psychology doesn't change because human nature doesn't change. Human human beings will go through boom and bust over various periods of time. So while they'll help you to read an analyst report or summarize research or pull out more research, I don't think it will replace human judgment. So I'm not, if I was a medical doctor or a lawyer, I would be worried about obsolescence. Will I have my job 20 years from now? I think the stock market probably will still exist because capitalism doesn't exist without it. So I think it exists.
That's a great call.
I hope so anyway.
Yeah. But I'm definitely sure that you would advise all of us, as in all the youngsters, to use AI for the purpose of increasing their efficiency in analysis.
I mean, you should, but it doesn't replace deep reading. I feel it doesn't. It's just my way of thinking. I think you should just enjoy a good book on its merits without trying to get an exam summary because, your point that you might get in the book in chapter 3, paragraph 2 would maybe be missed by AI. I don't know that. So, you can use it, of course, as an efficiency tool, getting your tickets done for you or, scheduling surgery or, doing research on where to vacation. There's so many good use cases, but whether you should do it as a substitute for reading or substitute for thinking, I doubt that.
Okay, sir. Given the fact that the one whom we worship, as in Warren Buffett, is holding so much of cash right now, and we are at a particular stage as far as global capital markets are concerned and Indian markets are concerned, say for the next 10 years or so, from an asset allocation perspective, how does one think as to whether to keep dry powder ready for the purpose of investing in markets if the markets at all fall because of global factors, or to just remain invested in quality stocks which have been unearthed by great research? How do you mentally frame your own money management in this area?
First I'll share, when I was a student in America, Surajit, I went, I don't remember how, but I had heard of Warren Buffett when I was 20 years old. I'd heard about it, but I'll tell you how I remember it, because when I stayed in California with my sister, and typically when people are in LA, they'll say, oh, they'll take you to Hollywood, or take you to Disneyland, or take you to the beach. I want to see the, exciting things in LA. And I remember I was 20-year-old telling I want to see See's Candy, which was one of Buffett's investments, or go visit a Walmart. I'm not going to brag, but that was quite head and center. But then a few years later, that's not in 77, but a few years later, I went back and checked what the price of Berkshire was in 1977 when I was a student. It was about $75 a share. So, in effect, in 1977, I got about 1,000 shares of Berkshire, paid $75, $75,000 would have been my cost for doing that in 1977. $75,000, give or take a few $1,000 here or there, right? Cut forward to 2025, which is almost 48, 50 years. Does anyone want to guess what the value of those 1,000 shares will be today? 20 million, there you go. 20 billion! Oh my God! What is the compounding they had? Nothing, no. Not 20 million, it's not even close. But another guess at this side. Which is the team that won? Which is the team that won the quiz? We'll ask them. Which team? Your team, sir? Give me a guess.
I think $1,000, what you said the price was?
No, price was $75.
$35. What's
75. Come on, someone has a guess here. Take a guess. He guessed 20 billion. Somewhere between 0 and 20 billion. No, Sumungal would know. I don't. Sumungal can't answer the question. It has inside information. So he could probably figure it out. Someone else. Someone has an idea.
700,000 a share, 1,000 shares, so 70 million.
It's actually 700 million. 700,000 times 1,000 shares, 700 million. I still make that mistake, so don't feel bad. I think you meant 70 million. No, it's $750 million US. So if I had, in effect, bought 1,000 shares, not paid any more fees, sat on the beach, bumped around, traveled the world, I'd be far richer than I am today, believe me. So that is but the astonishing fact of that is that over the last 45, 50 years, Berkshire has compounded at 20%. Okay? 20% compounding. So what is important for you all to remember is that not only compounding is important, the rate of compounding is of course very important, but the longevity of compounding is so much more important. You know? If you get something that's going to compound at 30, 40 years at that rate, it's going to lead to a huge fortune. I'll give you an example from the Indian stock market, which you may not be familiar with. There's a public sector company, Suresh, called Bharat Electronics. When I started my career, it was at a 300 crore market cap. So it had, I think, 80 crore equity, 40 rupee price, 320 crores. And a 2 rupee dividend, so 5% dividend yield to boot. After I bought it at 40, it went down to 20 rupees. So it was a 160 crores market cap. This is about 96, 97. Okay? Cut to 2025. Today, that 100 shares is worth 10,000 shares. By bonuses, splits, it's worth 100 shares worth 10,000 shares. The 10,000 shares at 400 rupees. So you can figure out the market cap of that company at that time. The market cap today is about 3-4 lakh crores from 200 crores. It's 3 lakh 4 crores. And the dividend you get per year on that share is probably double your cost price. So that is the wonder of compounding. Now someone asks you use the best example or one of the best examples, but you always want the best example. Why would you take the stock picking is not easy. It's a very difficult business. Don't ever think that कुछ भी ले लिया बढ़ गया ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है. Long-term capital allocation is my job, and you have to look for the best examples in life. You want to look at who's the best tennis player, who's the best mathematician, who's the best architect. You don't want to look at the worst in your field. Alright, so long-term is very good. But there are ample opportunities like that available in the Indian stock market for some reason. We are blessed. We have these opportunities. So I would say compounding is actually the eighth wonder of the world. And you all CAs, I don't need to explain this to you because you all understand intuitively. But this is an example I give. I just finished with this example. I say if you're young, if you're say 30 years old in India, okay, as most of you are, the average age is 29, as you said here, so you're the perfect age. You're 30 years old, and you're thinking about the next 30 years of your life. Okay, what is my next 30 years going to be? How do I become financially free when I'm 60 years old? Okay, long term. You want short term, you go play the horses. I don't care. That's fine. But you want to make long term wealth, you start today. If you start with 10 lakhs today, and you have a 30-year career ahead of you, that means you should have, technically, you should try for 10 doubles of your money. If you move your money at 23-24%, that means your money will double every 3 years. Okay? So shall I have some fun with them? Shall I have some fun with them?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so who's good in maths here? Can you get up? Yeah, please. Yeah, he's good. He's already ahead of me. Yeah. So what did you start with though? Yeah, but what did we start with? 10 lakhs. And what did we end up with? In a 30-year period. I don't know if you know, but 100 crores even in today's depreciated rupee rate is about $10-12 million US. $10-12 million US puts you in what percentage of the public wealth? Half of 1% of the world. The 8 billion of us in the world. And it puts you in that category of that. So it's a remarkable, actually, get up. We'll make you do the exercise so everyone will benefit from you only. Okay? Suppose you start with 10 lakh rupees and you're 30 years old. By the time you're 33, how much should you have? If you double your money every 3 years. No, 20, right? 10? 10 get 20, okay. So now at the end of 3 years you are 20. At the end of 6 years? End of 9 years? End of 12 years? End of 15 years? End of 18 years, 640 lakhs or 640 crores? 640 lakhs here. 6 crores 40 lakhs, right? Now keep doubling that. 50 and then 100. Yeah, so you just see the math. I mean, this is not me speaking. See, the Sensex itself compounds at about 15-16%. The last 40 years, you made 16% of the Sensex. If you add 2-3% for dividend yield, you're getting 18-19%. I'm saying do 23-24%. You're a bunch of guys and you should be able to do that. Okay? Think long term. That's where the true wealth is created. So there is no reason that anyone in this room cannot become a crorepati or self-sufficient if you follow this path. You're not going to get there in 3 years, but in 30 years, I think mathematically the odds are very high that you'll get there. So my humble request to all of you, because you're a very enlightened bunch, you're CAs, CFAs, you deal in public money, you understand accounting, pause and think about your numbers.
So many of these people have perhaps at some time in their career learned the rule of 72, which we were elaborating upon. For those of you who have forgotten or have not learned, we do 72 divided by interest rate. So Sir said 24%, so 72 by 24 is 3 years. 3 years was the doubling period. He said 30 years, I think. 30 by 3 is what? 10. So 2 power 10. 2 power 10 is what? 1024. Raja, have you learned 2 power 10? I'm trying to corner him, you know. Okay.
He did actually, and to be honest with you, well, you're right, he did do that. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, Sumangal's ex-boss in India, did 40% plus compounded over his lifetime. He had unfortunately a very short life. Extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. To do 60% is almost unbelievable. To do 40% in dollar terms is almost unbelievable up there. I mean, to me, they're like Donald Bradman's cricketing average. You know? When you retire, you're cricketing average 99.99. I don't think anyone's going to come close to it. The record that will stand. So, amazing record.
So, sitting over here, it feels that the type of bullishness you have on the Indian economy, on markets per se, on the value of persistent and enduring research and holding on to them, and the faith in human intelligence as compared to any type of artificial intelligence is a treat to hear, a treat to watch. If you do not mind, how old are you, sir?
As my wife complimented me, she said, my age has crossed my IQ now, so I'm 67.
So, at the age of 67, if this is the type of positivity that we have about technology, about India, about markets, you know, all of you, aged on an average around 30, can understand what great future we have. We are blessed to be born in this country at this time, okay, and we will surely learn a lot as a result of this discussion. So in the scarcity of time, although we wanted to have a lot of audience questions, but this particular guy, he has studied all night about you. Okay, he has studied 10 hours about you, he was telling me in the morning, and he wanted to ask you a question. So as an audience Q&A, I'll just have him answer one question. Okay, please be brief.
What's your name again, please tell me? Okay, lovely. Thank you, Raja. Thank you.
Can you introduce yourself once again? Because
my name is Raja Roy. I'm a quant trader from Calcutta. I've been associated with Sanjay Saraf for around 25 years. And currently I feel the universe is smiling at me because I went through a lot just to be here, just to be with him in his program and to see you. So yeah, it was difficult with Indigo to just get here. But I really hustled to get here.
Thank you so much for making it. It's been tough, I know, flying all the way, but I'm glad you did.
So in one of your shows, you spoke about a friend who invested in HDFC for his son. My question to you is, my son is 9 years old. Can you give me one stock in champion?
You know, as much as I'd love to discuss stocks with you, maybe you can talk to me, you know, because I can't discuss publicly stocks. Unfortunately, that's the SEBI rules, so I can't on a public platform discuss stocks. But I will say this, that if you have children, I guess, you have one son, right? I would sincerely urge you to start investing for him, you know, long term, you know, you know, you could put small amounts of money, 50,000, 1 lakh, and you don't know what that becomes 30 years down the road. the principle is that you must invest in appreciating assets for your children. Because you give them the most important gift, one of the more important gifts, so financial freedom when they reach college age. By the time they're 25, 30, and the big tickets will come, the marriage, their housing, their medical expenses for you, the travel, they will be financially free. So I would sincerely urge everyone in this room with young children to start investing not only for themselves first, but also for the young children.
So just want to share with you, my son I can't call him right now, but if you ask my son what he wants to do, he'll say he wants to trade the Nifty.
He wants to?
Trade the Nifty, and he's 9 years old.
How nice. How nice.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Raja, for being frank. We will now have the rapid fire round. Okay? And you'll have to answer as short as possible. Okay. So the first one coming your way is one contrarian market view you hold today.
I think that what we are seeing right now is the decline and fall of America. I think America's leadership in the world that began after World War II is coming to an end. It won't happen overnight, but it will gradually decrease and then completely disseminate. I think I'm very clear that this is probably one of the last gasps in America. I mean, that preeminence that they had, they're doing it to themselves, by the way, but I think that will decline.
One investing hero or figure that has had the most significant impact on your career.
I think in America clearly will be Warren Buffett, Munger. I think India is someone called Ramesh Damani, who's one of the promoters of DMart. I've been a huge fan of his.
Your golden rule on investing.
What Raja said, double your money every 3 years. That's the key to wealth. Double your money every 3 years.
Diversification versus concentration. Where do you stand?
I have had better luck with diversification. So, I'm trying to double my money every 3 years. So concentration se hota hai, kuch farak nahi padta hai. But concentration is a better way to go, but it requires a deep knowledge of your individual company, which I may not have. So, diversification.
That's humble, sir. One sector or theme you are bullish on for the next 5 years and one which you are bearish on.
For some reason, I'm very bullish on pharma. When I go and visit companies, I realize that is a sector I would keep looking at. So I would say pharma. One sector that I'm bearish on, I'd probably avoid bitcoins. They are, as Warren Buffett said, rat poison squared. So I would probably avoid them.
The bullish one, I would also agree. Pharma. Your most favorite or personally satisfying investment?
There was a company I bought by happenstance. It turned out to be, I think, 100, 200x. It was a company called CMC. When IBM left India in the 80s, when George Fernandez threw IBM out, CMC took over the contracts. And it got listed in the BSE at some 50 crores market cap or something, even that 30 crores market cap or something like that. And because of my tech background, I understood the business. And as I often tell my son, it went on to become a 100 bagger or something. So before CMC, nobody knew me in the market. After CMC, nobody could ignore me in the market because I picked a 100 bagger. So that was the stock.
And did you make the most money in it?
No. I mean, as it went on, I made much bigger bets and made more money in many other stocks. But that was, Infosys and CMC were foundational to my career because they were my first two big bets.
A book that has had a profound impact on your life or investing philosophy?
Generally, anything about Buffett, Munger, I would recommend you to read. But the two books of Buffett that I've enjoyed, one is called An American Capitalist by Roger Lowenstein. Another one is called A Permanent Value by Andrew Kilpatrick. If you read Andrew Kilpatrick's book of Permanent Value, there's a chapter on Buffett's explanation of Coke, which I hope you will really read and enjoy. When I read it, I was so shaken up by just understanding the level of which he understands his businesses that I went out for a walk for half an hour just to clear my head. But these two books are good places to start.
India 2047, 100 years of independence. Where do you see India?
I'll tell you something that set you chattering. Index is at 5 figures now, 80,000 plus. I think in the next 25 years, it'll get to 7 figures. That's only 12% compounded, so nothing great, but I think we'll get there. 7-figure index. I won't be alive to, so if it doesn't happen, you can't blame me.
What's the one investment mistake you have made that still keeps you up at night? Not because of the money lost, but because of the lesson you failed to learn in time.
I don't know how much time we have. I have like any of things I've done wrong. I've done so many things wrong in there. So, I mean, I bought wrong stocks, better the wrong management, whatever. But overall, it's been a good experience.
If you could ban or eliminate one behavior, practice or trend in today's investing ecosystem that's damaging investor wealth or market integrity, what would it be?
See, I'm not in the favor of banning derivatives or banning, people from investing. I don't believe in a nanny state. I believe people are adults, they will realize what they should do. What I would do on the positive side is that I would encourage education. I think people need to learn how to make money in the markets, how to think about markets. And I've often said that if you don't have the time to invest in stocks, buy a passive fund. So I would invest more in education, sir.
Between being early and being wrong, where do you draw the line? When do you admit defeat on a contrarian thesis?
Before my wife. That's simple. When she says, Ramesh, I can't live in the Sensex, I need money. I have to do that wrong. But that apart, you have to throw in the towel at some point, but generally I'm more stubborn, so I will stick to my positions. Again, I'm a prop investor, there's a big difference. I can wait much longer than an institution.
70% of the audience in this room are unmarried. Okay, so they don't understand the significance.
I'm going to scar them for life, They're not going to get married after that,
If artificial intelligence could replicate 80% of your investment decision-making process tomorrow, what's the 20% that would remain uniquely human and irreplaceable?
I think to, buy when other people are panicking and to sell when other people are bloating, I think that's a very human thing. You have to go against the crowd. So I doubt that any machine will be able to tell you that. A lot of people tell you, based on body, but that does not mean sell it. You go up double from these prices. So I don't think machine will do that.
Imagine you are mentoring your 25-year-old self in 1985 with today's knowledge. What's the one career or life decision you would change, even if it meant altering your investment trajectory?
I think Sanjay and I both would wish we had more hair. Clearly, no, but it's fine. I think the one thing I do regret sometimes in my life is that I've had a lot of 10, 20, 50 baggers in my portfolio. And I've often found that I haven't bet big enough. Sometimes the trick is you have to learn to bet big enough. And I don't know whether it was my middle class background or whatever. I don't excuse it, but I haven't done it. So I would have tried to be more courageous and better than before.
As far as the hair issue is concerned, I think there was a study conducted between the correlation between hair versus wealth, and the correlation was negative. But I think that negative also stems from the fact that obviously you lose your hair as you grow older, and as you grow older you get richer. Anyways, so that was a fantastic session, sir, that you have shared with these youngsters, and many of them, they have not made up their mind on what type of temperament they have. Sometimes they are so much affected by this particular crazy stock, momentum stuff that's happening, and they burn their fingers. And most of them, they are not attuned to investing in mutual fund. They are guys who really want to run funds in future. So they would be a custodian of public money at large. I think these characteristics, which may sometimes seem to be age-old or boring, lie at the cornerstone for anybody who wants to become a fund manager in future. Okay, believe me, the capital markets in India offer such a great opportunity that you can build a lot of wealth for yourself, you can build a lot of wealth for millions of people, even if you don't have prop funds. Okay, so thanks a lot, sir, for sharing this wonderful insights of yours. We will be always indebted to you.
Sanjay, it's an honor to be part of your 30th celebration, and I think the kind of influence you have, I can see in this group, and congratulations for actually a great job done over the lifetime.
Thank you, gentlemen. for sharing the insightful, and that was a truly memorable conversation. Well, now it's a privilege to honor Mr. Ramesh, whose wisdom and contribution has inspired all of us. So I would request Sanjay Sir to please do the honor. We would like to felicitate Mr. Ramesh with our deepest appreciation. Thank you so much, sir, for being here, sharing these lovely insights with us. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming almost to the end of this lovely evening, but now to the most waited moment of this lovely event. We now proceed to the keynote address, where once again I will request Sanjay Sir, who will be joining me on stage. The distinguished highlight of this evening, sir, will be sharing his reflection on SSEI's remarkable 30-year journey, offering insights into the evolving landscape and finance and education, and presenting a forward-looking vision as SSEI enters its next chapter. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, please join me and let's welcome Sanjay Sir back on stage. I would also request, and we would like to wait for a minute or two more for everyone to settle in. Because ladies and gentlemen, as I already mentioned, it's the most waited moment for us, where we are very excited to share this with all of you. So we'll take a couple of minutes. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, requesting you to please be seated. As I mentioned, the last leg of this evening, we kept the best of the best for you at the last. And here we go. We can't wait to share these keynotes with all of you. So once again, please join me in welcoming Sanjay Sir on stage, who will be guiding us through So I am looking forward for all the surprises that we've been waiting 30 years, and it's going to be great and grand for sure. So sir, over to you.
You know, डर लग रहा है पूछते हुए, how's the जोश? Okay. Because obviously, एक तो dinner time हो रहा है. Some of you might not have had evening में the snacks, and secondly, obviously when you listen to a lot of stuff, sometimes your energy gets drained out. I can see many of the participants still not being in the room, but my team has told me that आपको थोड़ा keynote session छोटा करना पड़ेगा. तो मेरा जवाब ये कि मैंने prepare ही कब किया था. When this fireside chat was going on, believe me, again and again the thought that was coming into my mind is that मैं कुछ numbers लूँ and explain करना चालू कर दूँ एक एक चीज जो उन्होंने बोला with example, because the Indian education system has been such that examples के through ही अपने को समझ में आता है. Okay, without examples, without numbers, पता नहीं, it doesn't go that direct. Now, if you recall, I used to often start chapters by saying, let us divide the chapter into 5 parts. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4, Part 5. So, I would say, keeping my keynote address short, but at the same time covering all the parts, let me divide my keynote address into around 4-5 parts. Let me count as I say. One would be visiting the memory lane, nostalgia. Many of you are post-2015 students and do not know how it all started. So the nostalgic part of it, you got some taste of it right at the beginning. The second is how we have evolved as an institute. I had to speak about how India has evolved and how we SSEI has evolved. But India part is already discussed in the Fireside chat, so I will not touch upon that again. But at least our institute has evolved. Third is basically what is the main crux of our meeting now, apart from living old days, but what do we look ahead into the future? And there lies the gap between what financial education, the status is right now, versus what the industry is demanding. The gap which is there. Okay. How do we fulfill the gap? We have a certain product announcement to be made, which would really be very close to your heart. The fourth part would be that I have myself been witness to leakages of our lectures twice. Once in 2011, the other in 2016. Okay, you know, CA lectures. And that resulted in us setting up technology platforms which were very, very secured and not user-friendly. But now the world has changed. People value their time more than all these petty matters. You need a platform which is user-friendly, so we have on this particular day an announcement of our text suite. And finally, saying goodbye to you for this day, and with dinner waiting for all of us, me too, because I didn't have my lunch, didn't feel like, and then interacting with you at dinner. So these are the episodes we have. I'll keep it short. Do not worry about it at all. किसी को भी मन में लग रहा है ना, अब सर कितना बोलने वाले हैं, सब बहुत कम बोलने वाले हैं, because we believe in delivering a positive NPV. Okay, positive NPV in terms of time. कि जो काम करना है वो अपने को जो आप एक्सपेक्ट किए उससे कम टाइम पे करना है, उससे ज़्यादा अच्छे से करना है. So let me start the nostalgia just this way. Did you know in Calcutta, when the face-to-face classes used to occur, there are 2 rooms. In one room, CA students are sitting. In the other room, Indian CFA students are sitting. I don't know you've heard or not. Indian CFA, MS Finance. How many of us over here have studied MS Finance with me? Okay, there are around 8 students who have studied MS Finance offered by ICFI Hyderabad. Okay, that is where the journey started. And it was a superb program, believe me. I can't forget this program even till now, after teaching so many years of international CFA. And you know what used to happen? जब ये CFA वाले लोग CA को देखते थे, तो देखते थे CA वाला एकदम किताब में घुस रखा है, मतलब पढ़ते ही जा रहे हैं, and they used to think that ये पागल है क्या? And when the CA guys used to look at the CFA guys, and these people are chilling. राइट लेफ्ट पता नहीं क्या कर रहे हैं, उसके बाद निकल जा रहे हैं कॉफी पीने, यू नो, तो थिंकिंग कर रहे पढ़ने भी आए हैं क्या? अरे कांट एक्सप्लेन, दिस इज रियली रियली वेरी मतलब इम्पोर्टेंट इंसाइट व्हिच आई हैड. एंड यू नो बोथ दीज गाइज डिड ट्रेमेंडस growth in their career in future. But there is no reason if I talk it statistically at whatever level of significance, there is no difference that I could find that उस समय जो चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स कर रहे थे उन्होंने जो अचीव किया होगा in the next 20-25 years versus जो MS Finance वाले स्टूडेंट्स कर रहे थे. The MS Finance guys have also done good. CS have done good, no doubt about it. So that used to be the state of affairs. And जो रूम था जिसमें पढ़ाते थे, उस रूम के जो ऊपर में सीलिंग है ना, सीलिंग, उस सीलिंग में हर जगह लिखा हुआ रहता था भुजिया खाओ. मतलब at that time, you know, I had not met her. पर ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है कि there was some insider information leaked. I had not met Poonam. There was no question of any Haldiram stuff over there. It's just that I don't know why when there used to be जैसे multiple choice questions करे ना ABC और मैंने ABC में से C तो एकदम ही फालतू ऑप्शन है, तो we used to say भुजिया खाओ, तो C तो भुजिया खाओ. And that word spread and you know, all those days used to happen. We used to get down the classroom and some of the other guy would have a car और उसके गाड़ी में ठूस के बैठ जाएंगे. We'll go to stock exchange to have chai or whatever. So all those days have been there. Of course, the youngsters have not, or I have not been the privileged enough to enjoy that with them. But I'm sure those who घर पे भी classes करते हैं, they must be having all the bhujia, chanachur or whatever at their home and doing the classes. So it's been a evolution. 2000, no, this is important which I am coming to. 2011 में, 10-11 में, somewhere we found that Calcutta में Eton CA, okay, Eton CA as in Praveen Sharma sir, they entered the Calcutta market. In Girish Park, there's a place over there. Many of you will relate. And we felt that अपना तो कुछ प्रॉब्लम है नहीं, सबके सब अपने से पढ़ते हैं. There is nothing to be afraid. However, the simple maths told me that if we just want to protect our own territory, we will always be diluting the same because the territory remains the same and the other party is trying to enter. So that was the time when me and Poonam, we decided that अपने को भी बाहर जाना पड़ेगा, ठीक है? And we started with 5 centers: Delhi, Lakshmi Nagar में, Siliguri, Guwahati, Raipur, Ranchi, and Jamshedpur. 6 centers. And the classes started जहाँ पे hard disk में classes encrypt होके जाती थी, and they used to be run at those places. In a brief period, I joined even Eton CA, and there I became very popular. But without elaborating on what happened, that did not work out. But I became very popular as a result of that, and then the entire thing of CA really went into a different exponential growth altogether. As I said, 2016-17, once again my classes were leaked, and I had to come down to the international CFA. Okay, when I'm cutting short a lot of other portions. But the whole point is that what have we done across all these years? Across all these years, I have never taught with PPT. Today also, my team is possibly sitting over there. Kavya, where are you? Okay, she's over there. And she is just waiting that, sir, आप उस sir से बोलिएगा जिस हिसाब से मैं PPT चलाऊंगी. And I can never do that because it has never happened with me. I'm not a PPT guy. Okay, it has never been. And I have always found satisfaction in really opening up the chapter, opening up the topic like anything. Believe me, this is true, and this you know it better than anybody else. मतलब there are occasions जहाँ पे दिन बहुत खराब चल रहा है, health खराब है, और but उसके बाद जाके क्लास लेता हूँ, and suddenly she would know the best that after the class I am super energetic. मतलब तबीयत भी ठीक हो गया, मतलब everything just transformed in whatever happened in those 3 hours of the classes. Thereby showing that when a person expresses himself, and this is not true of only teaching, anybody, when you express yourself, if you were to come over here and now and to speak, or not come over here, just stand over there and speak to others, whatever you are good at or you want to express yourself, there's some positivity which happens. Believe me, many of you might have tried. You all are in leadership roles in different organizations, and you must have felt that जब कुछ समझा पाते हैं तो एक अलग ही satisfaction मिलता है. Now, this is the most rewarding part of being a teacher, and I've experienced this, I have lived it, and I am proud of it. However, whenever I travel, nowadays I'm traveling a lot, I find that those of you who have mostly become chartered accountants, and when you see your life, many a times you find that you are doing stuff which is not interesting for many of us, and stuff where you can't see an exponential growth in your career. And the same question is there which you feel is unique, but it is not unique. I have seen it happening through. Is that, sir, इससे कैसे बाहर निकले? I can see that the fund management industry is really growing by leaps and bounds. But how do I switch to that particular path, if at all? There's a 20%, 25% haircut which we have to face if we shift from one particular stream to the other. And that too is difficult. क्या CFA करना पड़ेगा क्या? ठीक है, how do we upgrade our skills and stuff like that. The point remains that at least आप लोग सब जन ये तो जान गए होंगे कि at least in India, certifications like CA or CFA are very important. Your entry door is those certifications. No matter how much we say, degrees don't matter, but the fact is that degrees do matter. CA, CFA are entry doors into whichever area you want to go into. However, they are just entry doors. उसके बाद whether you remain at a mediocre level or you really reach up is a different story altogether. And that's a story about the practical skills that you have. There is a great gap between what the industry demands versus what the skills financial education is teaching us. If you have some younger brothers or sisters, and you would know आज भी BCom में क्या पढ़ाया जा रहा है, same stuff is being taught. मतलब we may boast of the fact that इतना ज़्यादा revolution हो रहा है इंडिया में, but commerce education में तो I don't find any revolution हो रहा है. Each and every person studying at SRCC or St. Xavier's College, they will sit over there for 4 hours, 5 hours, and they will tell me, अगर वो serious student है, क्या कभी उसको ऐसा लगा क्लास में बैठ के, wow, क्या पढ़ाया है? I never felt that, and I'm being very frank about it. Education-wise, I never felt as to what was taught to us. The stuff was not good enough. Teachers were also oriented that way only. Okay, because no matter how much this word money-minded may be looked upon negatively, which it is, and it is so surprising when we talk about money-minded, this becomes such a taboo. The fact is that if we don't respect money outrightly, okay, there's nothing that can be achieved. Whoever saw is sitting over here in leadership positions, there are fund managers sitting over here, there are wealth management heads sitting over here, Okay, there are people in the real estate infrastructure industry who are at the head sitting over here, and they all tell me that sir talent मिल रहा नहीं है, जो candidates आ रहे हैं, वो candidates लायक नहीं है, उनको नहीं आता है, तो आप लोग किस तरह सिखा रहे हैं? What are you teaching them? Now the problem is that मैं तो अपनी लाइफ में परेशान हो गया 2 स्टेटमेंट से. स्टेटमेंट नंबर 1, सीए पढ़ाते समय ऐसे ही करके आना है. ये क्वेश्चन में ये रट लो, ऐसे ही करके आना है. अगर तुमको मार्क्स चाहिए तो ऐसे ही करना पड़ेगा, बट सर ये रॉन्ग है, डजंट मैटर, तुमको इसी से मार्क्स मिलेगा, यही लिख के आना पड़ेगा. ठीक है, आई विल नॉट इलैबोरेट अपॉन इट, यू नो वेल. सीएफए में आई एम फ्रस्ट्रेटेड बाय द फैक्ट दैट ऑथर ने ऐसे बोला है. अकॉर्डिंग टू दी ऑथर, ये ऑथर फॉरवर्ड रेट को F12 बोलेगा, तो दूसरा ऑथर 2F1 बोलेगा, तो तीसरा ऑथर गॉड नोस क्या बोलेगा. ऑथर 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 खेलते रह जाते हैं. एंड समहाउ द पर्सन इनसाइड मी हु इज अ कोर एजुकेशनिस्ट फील्स दैट कब इससे बाहर निकल पाएंगे और अपने वो करा पाएंगे जो इंडस्ट्री को चाहिए. For those of you who studied with me 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 15 years ago, at least ये faith तो होगा कि अगर I was carrying a certain level of intelligence, that intelligence must have exponentially grown by now. And I am blessed by the fact that there are so many alumni that we have sitting in this room itself, as well as those who are not from Mumbai, who have come forward so wholeheartedly in terms of linking their career to SSEI's journey, coming forward. There's some of them who are running school chains and college chains, and one of them asked me to visit a particular school, okay, BDM International, छोटी सी स्कूल है कैलकाटा में, and I just went out of obligation कि यार 11-12 के स्टूडेंट्स हैं, स्टार्टअप का पिच कर रहे हैं. स्टार्टअप वो लोग क्या तो करेंगे, बट जाना पड़ेगा. And the type of presentation they made, you may talk about AI will do nothing or this or that, but the point is that you have to leverage all the tools at your disposal. Wonderful thought process. मतलब बोल रहा हूँ कॉलेज में क्या हो रहा है, कॉलेज में स्टूडेंट्स आर ओरिएंटेड टुवर्ड्स द ओल्ड एजुकेशन सिस्टम, वहाँ पे ज़्यादा चैलेंज है चेंज करने में उसको. बट स्कूल्स में क्या है, दे आर फ्रेश, वो लोग को कुछ भी ज़्यादा एक्सपोजर नहीं हुआ, थोड़ा सा अकाउंट, थोड़ा सा मैथ्स, थोड़ा सा बिजनेस सीखा है उन्होंने. And they are raw, they are willing to pick up, they are willing to be shaped in whichever direction you want them to shape to. And when I went to those schools, I found that brilliant capability है, and इनको चाहिए कि काश जिन्होंने इंडस्ट्री को देख लिया है क्लोजली, वो लोग बता पाए, वो लोग शेयर कर पाए अपने एक्सपीरियंसेस. कॉलेज में भी ऐसा ही है. I mean to say that हम लोग की जैसे हरी सिटी में there is something called a बड़ा बाजार, वो तो हर जगह ही होता है. कैलकाटा में भी there is a बड़ा बाजार, कलाकार स्ट्रीट, and there is this Victoria posh. Who would like to learn driving by driving in the बड़ा बाजार area? Understood? मुंबई का कौन सा एरिया होगा जो बहुत ज़्यादा क्राउडेड है, ड्राइविंग would be very difficult. हाँ? Okay, so you know, who would like to drive in that area and saying that they वहाँ drive करके actual driver बने? तो there are n number of things, and when you all are in a position where you guide youngsters on what path to follow, I think the biggest advice or something related to what was going on in the Fireside chat was to learn that उसको बोलना है कि you have to become capable of solving problems. And you have to be capable from day 0, not day 1, because nobody is going to hand hold you. अब बचा ही नहीं है वो जमाना जहाँ पे इतना ज़्यादा आपका हैंड होल्डिंग किया जाएगा. यंगस्टर्स जो लोग अभी 18-19 years old हैं, they are offering a great challenge to those who are in their 27, 28, 30. I'm telling you, because these guys, उनका जो control है over the new technologies, that's mind-boggling. Energy level is mind-boggling as compared to those who are like late 30s का तो बात ही नहीं कर रहा, but in their early 30s, and they present a great direct challenge, okay, to all the people who are trying to upscale in their career. Analysis wise, students को मैंने हम लोग उस समय क्या करते थे, in the early 2000 कॉपी में कॉलम्स बनेगा, particulars year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6, year 7. उसके बाद स्टार्ट होगा सेल्स 40,000, 20% up into 1.2, 48,000 into 1.2 and लास्ट डेसिमल प्लेस का 5 चलेगा, नहीं सर 0.57, नहीं सर 0.56, फिर COGS, फिर प्रॉफिट. And females are the most vocal over there. Sitting in the first benches, they will shout at the top of their voice. And वो चीज को स्प्रेडशीट में फॉर एग्जाम्पल करना नहीं आता है. हाउ कैन यू बी एक्सेप्टेड? और अब तो AI आ गया जहां पे आपको स्प्रेडशीट में करना भी आता है तो यू हैव अ जॉब ऑफ मीडियोक्रिटी. मतलब लाइफ इज बिकमिंग सो कॉम्पिटिटिव, कांट एक्सप्लेन. आफ्टर हैविंग डन ऑल दिस, चलो आपको स्प्रेडशीट भी आता है, फाइनेंशियल मॉडलिंग बढ़िया से आता है, व्हाट ग्रेट, नथिंग ग्रेट. क्या आपको वो जो इनपुट्स है वो इनपुट्स को सोचना आता है? The different industries which are there, do you know the KPIs of those industries? What are the business models and which companies are having a differential business model? How is AI to be used to speed up your work 10 times in doing the same? Okay, there are many aspects which we may not agree. I mean to say that when I was sitting in the fireside chat also, I may not agree, okay, with what Ramesh ji was saying, and you may not agree to what I am saying. The point is to be very, very clear about your mind that you don't agree with this or you agree with this. What I find is that many people lack the ability of forming their own view. कोई चीज तुमको clear है and still you are not confident enough to form their own view, and there also the difference lies. So after all these years where we have just been test prep providers, teaching people to become chartered accountants, teaching people to clear the CFA level 1, level 2, level 3 exams, to clear FRM part 1, FRM part 2, I don't think I'll be satisfied in future if this would be the way in which my education journey would be written. And therefore from the core of my heart we have come out with a program, and that program is the Analyst Stack. Okay, that's the name we have given to it, the Analyst Stack. The Analyst Stack is a program which you can from the word itself understand, trying to produce a ready analyst from day one who can enter an IB industry, who can enter a sell side field or a buy side field, a consultancy, and he can deliver from day one, because this would not be superficial stuff the way it is written in books. This would be the way in which valuation should take place, the way in which business models should be studied, and it is crafted in a very practical manner where we are going to cover around 20-25 industries, okay, with industry experts, and where my role would be more of a guidance in the sense that I will cover, say, 20% of the curriculum. 80% would be covered by industry experts, many of them past alumni who have come forward to deliver the program, and they have their own strategies. Some of you sitting over here, I can't prevent taking names. Okay, Tarang is over here, he's representing Old Bridge Capital, and he told me that, sir, हम लोग DuPont analysis use करते हैं. Now DuPont is something जो CA, CFA सब में पढ़ा हुआ है, isn't it? ROE is equal to PAT by PBT into PBT by EBIT into EBIT by sales into sales by assets into assets by net worth, ठीक है? और उसको अपने जैसे तैसे common sensically कर देते हैं. But he is using it for the purpose of stock research and actually using it, and he has a conviction in believing the same. So when I shared with Taran about the fact that we would like you to take a session on this DuPont को आप लोग कैसे use करते हो, he said it's I'll be more than willing. Similarly, there are new age fund managers over there, Krishna Killa, okay, he's sitting over there from Guwahati, and he has started 2 funds, and he has tremendous control over how this private equity space, venture capital space works. And there's this guy who was seeming to be very vocal, Raja Roy, who is a quant trader, a fan of Jim Simons. He was not agreeing to many of the stuff that Ramesh ji was speaking. You know, when I asked Ramesh ji what would he like to ban, he didn't say it, but he was wanting to say derivatives. And guys living in derivatives, options ही कर रहा है सुबह से रात तक, and he has a great conviction in it. So all these facets are being combined together in this program at various levels, and I would like you to watch the screen. There's a short glimpse of what the program holds for the future generation of analysts.
For 3 decades, we defined finance education, but the world moved forward, so we shattered the barriers.
You know, every aspiring analyst gets hit with a few key questions in interviews. We all know there's a gap between academic knowledge and what the industry actually demands. So our mission is to bridge that gap and make graduates truly valuable from day one.
It's a two-sided solution. For students, it's about standing out. For industry, it's about finding job-ready talent.
Today, we're really excited to introduce Analyst Stack, our new flagship program in equity research. We've built it to be India's most comprehensive program, giving analysts that crucial edge that matters. We're here to bridge that all-too-common gap between academic knowledge and what the industry actually demands. Our whole philosophy is built on 3 key pillars: learn, apply, and then augment. First up, Program 1. This is all about financial modeling, from mastering Excel to complex DCF. Then we dive into real-world investing, covering over 15 major Indian sectors with practical insights. And to make sure our analysts are future-proof, we have a dedicated AI and finance program. The whole thing runs for about 4 to 5 months, blending sessions with real capstone projects. And here's what really sets it apart. The faculty are industry practitioners, not just academics. You're learning directly from fund managers, buy-side analysts, and true sector experts. So who is this actually for? It's designed for finance students, CA and CFA candidates, career switchers, and aspiring investors. So that's Analyst Stack in a nutshell. It's truly the edge that matters.
By the way, I have researched it out. There is no such parallel program anywhere. Okay, so it's a great ambitious project by us. And सबसे important ये है कि this is a project that really touches my heart. All my teaching of the last 30 years, okay, will go down into making it the best program. And the point is that SSEI now wants to become a proprietary content generator, where we bring our own certifications, our own programs. The new education policy is also opening the days for it, wherein we don't have to just teach and drown so much of dollars abroad by doing foreign courses. Of course, we have to enter the door, but we need to supplement the same with industry-ready skills so that industry gets what they want and we get what we want. Finally, when we talk about proprietary content and revolutionary, the problem is that the platform where we provide the content is often asking. Right now, we have lectures on one platform. We have doubt solving on another platform. We have mock test on another platform. Student is totally spoiled by the fact that he has to navigate through so many platforms. The UI is not up to the mark. There is a need for an integrated platform which combines lectures plus mocks plus doubt solving plus say Excel and spreadsheets plus every information that you need should be at your fingertips. So the platform that we were running upon is going to transform itself into a new tech suite. Okay, let me provide you a glimpse of the tech suite.
For 3 decades, we defined finance education, but the world moved forward, so we shattered the barriers. Introducing an industry-first tech suite. No downloads, no device dependencies. just pure, accessible power. Intelligent planning that keeps you ahead, and a mock test engine so realistic the actual exam feels like practice. Solve doubts while you watch. And with our new AI assistant, get answers instantly. Fortress-level security. Your content stays yours, protected, always. Access your world from anywhere, securely, seamlessly. This isn't just an upgrade, it's a revolution. The SSEI Tech Suite. Welcome to the future.
Finally, the last of the fifth chapter. I think I'm keeping the time under control. I was just discussing with Ramesh when I was sitting by the side that so there's going to be a time in 5-7 years' time where individuals will become tradable assets. Okay, the individuals will become shares where we can actually invest in. And I don't think that's a possibility ruled out. If that were true, you know, it so happens that all of us know somebody or the other in real life जिसके ऊपर अपने को tremendous confidence आता है. Confidence because of their integrity, confidence because of their effort, the labor that they put into, confidence because of their efficiency, their skills. Think about it. Integrity, you can have faith, hard work, and number 3, efficiency. They're really applying their brains. And when you get all the 3 combined together, wouldn't you like to have a stake in that? If you would like to be one of that person, and you should strive for that, in that case, you got to build and transform yourself that way. The most important skill right now is the skill of networking, of becoming presentable and marketable to people. Sometimes it may feel like you are wasting your time by attending conferences, by attending events, or by meeting people. But it doesn't go a waste if you actually are energetic towards it. We have started this alumni event with Bombay. It is but logical because no matter where I taught, people are working in Bombay. We plan to take it forward to Delhi, Bangalore, Calcutta, okay, and develop a huge network of alumni because given the fact that I was totally occupied so much in teaching, was never aware of what great feats my students have achieved throughout the world. The network is bombastic, it can be exploited like anything, and the fact that now we have started reaching out, our vision, if I share my vision, and every one of you should be able to speak out your own vision, is that we are not going to step out of finance into marketing or HR. We are going to be in the finance domain. But in the finance domain, we are going to be right from the schools, which means financial literacy, to the corporates, okay, to the consultancy firms who want their staff to be trained that way. So right from schools to colleges to corporates, whether it's B2B tie-up, whether it's B2 government tie-ups, whether it's B2 corporate tie-ups, and B2C, we're already there. So it's going to be that vision that we are going to lead to. Those young team members who join us, we tell them that although you are joining a 30-year-old entity, but believe me, it's more shabby than a startup. Okay, it's going to just remove everything that there was and just transform itself 100%. The fact that you all took out the Sunday evening time to visit us on our request, that's a great show of attitude from your side, and I believe we should be able to make it a really symbiotic relationship in days to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder, if you'd like to stay connected with future SSEI's initiative or explore way to collaborate, you might have seen the QR code all around at the venue, so please feel free to scan anytime. And now, as we celebrate 30 incredible years, it's time for the celebration. It's time for cake cutting. To do the honor, I would request the Board of Directors of SSEI to please join me on stage. Can we have the cake on stage, please? So let's celebrate together, ladies and gentlemen. This celebration wouldn't have been possible without your love and support. So you being here with us means the world to us. So thank you so much, everybody. So it's a special moment for us, which we would like to share with all of you. 30 incredible years. Grand celebration and the yummiest cake. So it's by Chef Yazur Khanna. So we'll do a countdown and then let's do this cake cutting. So everybody, 3, 2, 1. Music please. Congratulations. Celebrating 40 and now aiming for 50, of course. Thank you so much. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, with this we almost come to the end. Once again, thank you so much. Well, it's 30 years, cheers to banta hai. So everybody with on a high energy.